again, welcome, Kaitlyn, to 3 Minutes with Equal. It's a pleasure to have you as our first guest on the show. So
thank you for having me. The museum really can take a deeper look into the artists, to their history. We can find out what makes them special, find out what makes them touch people through their music, and really shine a spotlight on that. And I think that we've just started, but even more now so than ever, we're expanding on who we showcase, and I think that that's so important.
Hello.
Hey, me and Charlie Wilson.
Yes, Charlie. Nice to meet you, Uncle Charlie, and so glad to have you on here, aka DJ Moonbaby.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I think, a lot of times God has given people the gift of knowledge, when they can't communicate, like you and I necessarily. And, to me, that's a heaven sent gift.
But what you see back here, Jazz Hands Music Place, this is our music collective that we're building. We would love for the Jazz Hands Music Place and Moonbaby Media to find a way to collaborate to get the original compositions of musicians who have autism into, just more productions. How can we go about doing that?
Well, let's talk about it. Moonbaby Media has a catalog in the music library, so definitely would love to add some of this music for pitching for TV film. So once again, it's a conversation, send me a playlist of things that you have and let's talk about how we can implement it and get it pitched out there. But I think a music library would be awesome. So let's do it.
It's with you, Traci. It's a pleasure to speak with you today.
My pleasure. It's a pleasure as well.
I'm curious to know, what kind of initiatives does KJLH have for artists who have disability?
Okay, well, let me just say this. That's an untapped market. There's room for initiatives to be created. KJLH, we support art. It doesn't matter where the art comes from. Whether or not the person is neurologically diverse, color of their skin, if it's beautiful music, it's beautiful music from whomever. Some people are very creative when they have neurological disorders.
I think that's super important. That's why I love for Jazz Hands and KJLH to be that partnership that helps many different people of color who are neurodiverse to be able to make that dream a reality.
It's a beautiful thing to be so creative and then have somebody to believe in you.
Good morning. Welcome to 3 Minutes with Ifu. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this interview.
When it comes to people who have autism, especially artists with autism, there are a lot of obstacles they face when trying to get employment in general. So my question is, how can networking events be a little bit more welcoming or a little bit more open to people who may have challenges with social interaction like those who have autism?
Everyone is welcome. And of course, networking is vital. So, if people with autism come to our events, we want them to know that they are wanted. They do have a place in the industry, because they do offer a different perspective.
Awesome. I definitely agree with that.
Like, what tips can you give a person with autism in building, genuine relationships, events?
So I like to use the expression, don't try to win the role, win the room. And I think people with disabilities, with autism, they can network with somebody and still win the room with who they are, genuinely. Do I feel like you're being genuine with me? Do I feel like you're being a real person? That's what I remember. Kind of people with autism who say up front, I have autism, when they're networking. And it's an icebreaker, and it shows a level of comfort in themselves to where it breaks down the other person's walls. I think it's cool that you're here, and I'd love to hear your story. Please tell me more about yourself.
I'm Lavonna Lewis, and I'm the Associate Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the Saul Price School of Public Policy. Art as Policy, Autism, Education, Research, and Music, Inclusion for Neurodiversity, a conversation with Efunanya Wike. She's the founder and executive director of an innovative 501c3 nonprofit organization called Jazz Hands for Autism.
There's so many different ways that policy has moved us forward and so many different ways that it's holding us back, especially for people with disabilities. So, music education should be a mandatory for all people, especially people with disabilities. And then, policy that requires different industries to make sure that they're hiring people who are not just like who are not just maybe physically disabled, but also who fall under the spectrum of neurodiversity as well. So also always including neurodiversity in any discussion about, any kind of civic rights or civil rights movements or discussions, I think is very, very important. And also in all policy making spaces, always think about the neurodiverse community as well.
And we need to recognize that policy matters.
Policy matters.
It changes the rules of the game for everyone.
Welcome to 3 Minutes with Ifu. Today we have none other than David Seagull, the Executive Director of Exceptional Minds. David, thank you for being here today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I have this great honor of leading an organization called Exceptional Minds that helps young adults with autism train for careers in visual effects and animation and sort of the whole stack of digital arts. I couldn't believe that there was an academy that would educate truly underrepresented and oftentimes marginalized human beings who have these hopes and dreams like all of us, but fall off that service cliff that you know too well in autism and really had a lack of hope. Well, we're that net to catch them when that cliff comes, and we're a net that helps them find their path and helps them find gainful employment, but not without the education, the tools, and the work readiness that it requires to get there. Listen, I think we're very big on making sure that no one is unlearning their autism, because we're always saying that what makes them different makes them extraordinary, makes them exceptional, makes them stronger, right? So we're also trying to create avenues of self-advocacy and efficacy within the relationships that we're trying to foster between our employers that hire our students and our students. Let's create some content together. You know, we are consistently working on amazing short-form content for our partners like Cartoon Network and Warner Media or Sesame Street. Like, we should be collaborating on opportunities where you're bringing the sonic and we're bringing the visual, and together it's magic.
Yeah, let's do it.
Love it.